Everyone, it's Melissa with another fun craft activity for you. For today's video, I thought I would show you how to make these elegant rolled up paper roses. This is a very fun and simple activity for all ages, children through adult, and it only requires three things. The first thing is a sheet of paper. The second thing is a pair of scissors. You can use child safety scissors if you're going to be doing this with a younger child. And the third thing you're going to need is something to hold the rose together. I personally like using hot glue. However, if you are doing this with a younger child or you don't have a glue gun at home, you can also use Elmer's glue or a glue stick. If you have glue dots, you can use those. You can also use double stick tape if you would like to. Just something to keep in mind if you're going to be using Elmer's glue or a glue stick, you are going to need to wait a little while longer for the glue to dry and for it to hold together. So, let's get started. Alright, so the first thing you're going to do is take your paper, and you can see I've taken mine, and you're going to cut it into a circular shape. It doesn't have to be a perfect circle. You just basically want it to be relatively circular. What I like to do is take a square or a rectangle of paper and cut the edges off so it's rounded. And once you have that, you're ready to get going. The only thing to know before you start cutting into this paper to make the next step, which is the spirals, is that the number of times you go around and how thick you're making those spiral sides will determine how thick the petals of your rose are. So you can see, like this one that I made before, I made a bunch of these already. This one I have a lot more spirals in it. I cut a lot more out of that paper, and it made a really tightly rolled rose, as opposed to one like my purple one, where if you can see in the middle, it's not as tightly wound, so it's a little bit of a looser rose. You can do whatever you'd like, play around with it, see what you like best. So from there, what you're going to do is start cutting around in a spiral just around the edges of the paper. The last thing to know before you finish cutting out your spiral is that you're going to want to leave like a little bit of a nub on here, a little bit of a circle, and that's going to be what you end up gluing your rose petals to, so you do want to leave a little bit of a circle for that base. Alright, so I have my piece of paper totally cut, and what I'm going to do is take the end of it, the free end, and start rolling. And all you're going to do is just take the edge and start rolling. And just keep in mind how tight you roll it is going to be a factor in how many layers it has of those petals. What I like to do once I get going is kind of hold it loosely on the top and use my other two fingers to kind of just gently pinch it and roll it. I find that makes it go a little bit faster. Alright, so I've reached the end. I just have my little nub left, and you can see I've rolled this pretty tightly. You have a couple different choices. You can hold it while you apply the glue, or you can just let it go and let it relax a little bit. You'll see it kind of just spirals. I've done it both ways. If you let it go, it lets you kind of visualize how big your rose is going to be, and then you can just always repinch it and hold it aside for when you put the glue on. So let's do that. I'm going to take my hot glue, and I'm going to go ahead and glue all over this base so that it catches all the layers. And if you're using something like Elmer's glue or a glue stick that can make the paper kind of wet, you do want to keep in mind you don't want to make the paper really soggy when you do this, only because then it'll affect how it's going to hold the petals on. So I'm just going to kind of quickly reform this a little bit and just stick it right into my hot glue. There we go. You're just going to want to press down very gently just to catch the glue on there and pull it right up. If you want to, when you're doing this, you can also turn it upside down and use your hand to kind of press, or if you're using hot glue like I am, you can use scissors so you don't burn your hands. And there you are. You have your rolled paper rose. So that's how you make a rolled up paper rose. Like I said, these are super easy. You might take a couple tries to get the hang of actually rolling the rose and making it look like one inside. I made a bunch of these already. Here's one that's just like the one I made. It's just a white one. You can use different colored paper, different sizes to make different roses. Here's a red one. The other really fun thing to do is to take markers. I just used regular washable Crayola markers. I colored the edges of this white one purple, and then I took a small spray bottle of water and just sprayed it a little bit so that the marker ink would sink lower into the paper, and it turned out with this really pretty purple on the inside but still pretty white on the outside rose. You can use these to decorate if you want to make a bunch of them and maybe decorate a card with them, or I made a few and I attached them to this ribbon to make a headband. You can attach them to clips if you'd want, pins if you want to make like a brooch or something with them. It's just a really fun activity that's I find really relaxing. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!